Yes, so welcome to yet another episode of Beizzo's Kiboozi. Now I want you to ask yourself, have you ever wondered or looked back to a situation and thought, why didn't I just say no? Or maybe, why am I always the one that is always bending my back to do things for people while no one checks on me? Well, this is an episode for you. Apparently, you're the soft-hearted. You're the one that was taught to smile even through the pain. You're the one that shows up for everyone, but low-key, you're dying inside. Personally, I've been there. I have lived there, but I've also healed. And so I want you to be in another place, because that is not a kind place to be if you're listening to this. And I would call it's a place of self-abandonment, because you've abandoned yourself and you're caring more about other people. In summary, someone may call it people-pleasing. And that's what I want to talk about in this episode. So let's talk about it. Beizzo's Kiboozi. Now, what is people pleasing? What is people pleasing? So my school of thought thinks that it's not just about being nice. It's about fear of rejection, fear of disappointing others, and the need to be liked at all costs. For some people, it actually comes from childhood. It may come from the childhood wounds that have not yet healed or recovered, and maybe also the childhood trauma. Now, something tells me, it's something I've recently been looking into, that everything that happens to the adult you become is more grounded from how you grew up as a person. The beauty about it is that you can change it. And you can change it through the self-improvement, through listening to podcasts, through changing or making the decision to change your life. But some people never get to reach there. And so that's why I get to talk about some of these things. Because the growth path for some of us is what shapes what you become. So be very mindful of the things that happen when you're a child and as you grow up, because life is full of experiences, and it's experiences that build knowledge and wisdom. Now, so when you were young, you wanted to keep the peace, you wanted to avoid conflict, you wanted to stay loved, you wanted to be perfect, you wanted to have the right behavior. So from all this, in one way or another, you developed a soft heart. And then you grew up. You became a grown man, but with the soft heart. But at the end of the day, people are going to use you because you don't know where to draw the line. When you're soft-hearted, most times you don't know where to draw the line, whether you're being kind or you're being used. Or, there is a way you being soft-hearted makes you think that you're helping someone, and yet this person could be using you. Because something has recently come to me that society loves you when you're easy to control. And let that sink in. Society loves you when you're easy to control, when you're easy to manipulate, when you're easy to use. Society will love you because the nature of this world is that everyone is a master of their life. But once you lose the mastery of your life, you become very easy to control. That is people who don't know how to control their emotions, people who don't know their boundaries. Now, the people that don't know their boundaries are the people that I'm talking about today. The people who will end up in the trap of people pleasing, in the trap of being soft-hearted, in the trap of gratitude. Because personally, I call it the trap of gratitude. Most of these people think they are indented to do something for that other person because they did something good for them in their earlier life, or you feel that there is a debt you have to pay. But I want you to remember that society only loves you when you're easy to control. Let that sink in before we head. Now, there is a cost to people pleasing. For many of the people that end up in this loop or this trap, you end up losing yourself, or you feel drained, you feel resentful, but at the end of the day, you keep smiling because the people actually that you're trying to please should never see that you're angry about it. You start performing kindness instead of genuinely living it. You see, I've seen this a lot around some of the people I be with, or around some of the people that I've lived with for some time. You start saying, please, thank you, sir, madam, even when it's not needed. If I'm your colleague and we're always chatting every time, we are always chilling together, you don't need to call me sir all the time. You actually don't need to address me as sir. I don't think even in my email you need to address me as sir. Unless it's your boss or someone you've never met, that's when you call them sir. Because personally, it shows me there is something you're insecure about. Some people do it unknowingly, but it reduces the control you have over me when you call me sir. Because I then realize that you are secure about where you are. I want to put it in a way that you better understand it. If someone called you sir, there is some sort of respect, yes, they have for you, but there is a place that you feel you are more important than them for them calling you sir. I don't know if you would get it that way. But I want you to know that if you have that habit, people begin to expect that you'll say yes to everything. And that creates emotional manipulation. The cycles of emotional manipulation. You see someone putting you into something, you know it's not good for you, but because they know you'll say yes, they put it into you. And that's the emotional manipulation. But all in all, I want you to know that when you're doing the people-pleasing thing, you are abandoning yourself. Because at the end of the day, these people don't know. Then they say, that's a nice guy. But nice guys never win. Nice guys, I don't know. Nice guys never make it. They don't. Like, this world doesn't need nice people. It needs people who are courageous, people who are confident, people who know themselves, they know their self-worth, and are ready to fight for themselves. You don't need to abandon yourself for the sake of others, because those other people may not abandon themselves for you. You don't need to say ladies first if they don't deserve it. This is not something to attack women, but I mean, the statement ladies first, sometimes it's used by men when they're not sure of, I would say, they're not sure of the outcome of something. Let's say you're opening the door and there could be a lion outside, or that is an imagination. But I mean, we only use it in circumstances where the guy is not sure of the outcome. So they say ladies first. But do not use ladies first when they don't deserve it. You don't need to allow someone dump onto you work This is on a workspace or at your job. You don't need to allow someone to dump on you work when you have your own responsibilities, you have your own work to do, you have your own program. Personally, my biggest boundary is you can't throw onto me a program of something that you may call an emergency on your side when I don't call it an emergency on my side. Whether you're my boss or you're my what, I'll push it to my own time because I respect my time and my attention to things, because the new currency of the new world is time and attention. Whatever you are attentive to becomes your new value, your new edge to making it in this world. Anyway, I want you to escape people pleasing. If you're still people pleasing, I want you to escape people pleasing. The first step is to name it. You need to name it. You need to see that this is people pleasing. It's not obedience, it's not kindness, it's not being chill, because most people think when you're obedient, when you're kind, when you're chill, you're the guy that I could call it everyone can pick a favor from. I want to tell you today that that is people pleasing. You need to name it. It's not obedience, it's not kindness, it is people pleasing. You can't change something that you're not willing to confront. We all know that. If you're listening to this episode, you've reached the level of growth that you know that you can't change something without being able or willing to confront it. So you need to name it. You need to name it. The other thing is you need to practice saying no. Practicing saying no is as easy as learning how you can say no politely. If you want to stay soft-hearted, yes, you can learn polite ways of saying no. An example is, let me get back to you. Let me see whether it can fit into my schedule. I may not be able to commit now, but let me see how I can do it. Things like that. That is a polite way of saying no to someone. They will respect you for that. And I'll tell you, if you tell someone, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. Maybe look onto someone else to do it. They'll respect you for saying no than you taking it on and not doing it perfectly because you had your own plan or you had your own program. I want you to learn that you can say no and people won't get affected. That brings me to you setting boundaries. Man, this is the biggest thing about breaking people pleasing. You need to set boundaries. You can always use, I have this trick. Whenever you're in a new place, maybe in a new job, maybe in a new whatever circumstance that you're in, you need to study people for the first week. You study them, you study their character, you study their body language towards you, you study the level of, I could call it, decision making they have. To what point does this person's decision matter? To what point does this person's decision matter? Because those things will help you in setting boundaries. You don't need to think that you're going to be mean for having limits, because that's what makes you human. Human beings are supposed to have boundaries. There's some people you can't talk about your family life with. There's some people you can't tell your history about. There's some people you can't tell a number of things. Most times when you may be in a workspace, let me give that as an example. There's some people who your relationship with them is professional and will always be professional. Once you start seeing them teething around, making silly jokes, you go back to your boundary. You push them back to the boundary that your relationship is only and only professional. It will never be beyond that. And you need to understand that, because when you understand that, you know how to treat them well. You know how to be kind to them. You know how to maybe obey whatever they're telling you. You know what level you need to be, you need to give to them. But if you don't understand all this, you think everyone is so impactful, in your stay, maybe in your job or what. I talked about this maybe in I think it was my first episode. The 10 people you need to be with so that you can be successful. And somewhere, somehow, I mentioned in a job workspace, there are 3 people you need to be successful in that place. You need the key decision maker first. You need the mentor, then you need the supporter, someone who is going to be there for you when you're not around. But anyway, today is about people pleasing. And you need to know to what level you need to please someone for you to avoid people pleasing. I think for you to avoid being around that trap of always breaking your back for people, and yet they can never do the same for you. If you understand who is who, then you will serve who. Anyway, you don't need to prove that you're worth something by always saying yes. Because at the end of the day, when you leave, people will say that guy was a weak guy. That guy, you would want him to do this, he would do it. People never see it as a good thing. That's what I want to just instill in your head. People see it as a weakness. They'll never see it as a good thing. And I want just for you to think about all the people that you know that have boundaries in their life, that have limits in their life. You can't just throw onto them something. See how far they have gone. See how far they have been able to move, because they understand what is priority and what is not priority. Who makes which decision, who doesn't make which decision, which person is. I think I learned it somewhere in one of the trainings I had at work. It's stakeholder management. You need to have your own stakeholder management as a person in your life. You need to say no without an explanation. Yeah, sometimes people don't need your explanation, most especially those that are not key decision makers. You don't need to tell them that I said no because I have this and this, because they will look at it as an excuse. Say no and keep quiet. If they are angry about it, let them talk about you, but they have not fixed you into doing something that didn't fit in what you want to do, that didn't fit in what makes you happy. And in the side of saying yes, you need to say yes even if it disappoints someone else, because that is very key in breaking your people pleasing. Otherwise, I think this is it, and this is a starter pack for you to break people pleasing, for you to understand how to use your soft heart better. You need to learn how to say some things in a good way. If you're not ready to be off as a person that is bad. But all I can say is people pleasing is bad, and you need to learn to say no. You need to know your boundaries, and you need to name it. Otherwise, I would love to say thank you for listening to Beizzo's Kiboozi week in, week out. Because if you're listening to this episode, it means you're a loyal listener and you're someone that has been following it through. It's a big dream, and I believe we are a work in progress and always building to a better dream, to a better podcast. And one day you'll see my face, you'll see everything, a production, the way I bring it out, and all that. Otherwise, thank you for being a big support system to me, and keep it at Beizzo's Kiboozi. Until next Monday, see you soon.